Hello everyone. So today we with the protein metabolic series, now we come to the fourth video, that is on urea cycle. So we have already seen transamination, we have already seen deamination, then we have seen trans deamination and ammonia transport, third video, and now we come to the fourth video, that is on urea cycle. So what is urea cycle? You all know that this ammonia, which is produced by amino acid metabolism, is highly toxic. This ammonia has to be converted into less toxic urea. The process occurs in liver, and then this urea is transported to kidney, where it is excreted in form of urine. In this way, so today we start with the protein metabolism, that is synthesis of urea from ammonia, that is known as urea cycle. So urea cycle was shown by Krebs and Henslett in 1932. It is a cyclic process which involves the starting point is ornithine and also ends to the ornithine. And other products essential are citrulline, arginosuccinic acid, arginine, aspartic acid. It takes place in liver and the other organs like kidney and brain. Enzymes partly are located in mitochondria and partly in cytosol. 1 mole of ammonia and 1 mole of carbon dioxide are converted or condensed to form 1 mole of urea, and overall process 3 ATP are utilized. The stages we can see, there are 5 stages, which is synthesis of carbamyl phosphate, synthesis of citrulline, synthesis of arginosuccinic acid, cleavage of arginosuccinate, then cleavage of arginine to form ornithine and urea. Ornithine is regenerated and urea is excreted. Then number 1 step, that is synthesis of carbamyl phosphate. So CO2, you can see here, CO2 ammonia condensed together to form carbamyl phosphate, and here 2 ATP are utilized with in presence of magnesium ion and carbamyl phosphate synthetase enzyme. This molecule CO2 and ammonia condensed to form carbamyl phosphate. Then we can come to the second step, that is ornithine transcarbamylase. So the first step, carbamyl phosphate was synthesized. This carbamyl phosphate now transfers on ornithine, and hence the enzyme is ornithine transcarbamylase, and both of them converts it into citrulline. So the next is citrulline. These two steps, they occur in mitochondria, and now the citrulline transfers to cytosol, and rest reaction will be in the cytosol. Here you see 2 ATP are utilized, and one more thing we use ki in ammonia, you know the structure of ammonia, it is NH2CO NH2. The CO, it comes from CO2, and NH2, one NH2 is coming from this ammonia, and second NH2, it comes from aspartic acid, that we will see in the next so reaction. The third, arginosuccinic acid, the transfer of second amino group, that is aspartate and citrulline both condensed to form arginosuccinic acid, and now the NH2 of urea, the second NH2, it comes from aspartic acid in presence of arginosuccinic acid synthetase, and here 1 ATP is utilized and is converted into AMP and phosphate, and this is the third step. And I have told na, this amino group is provided by aspartate or aspartic. Then number 4th step is the enzyme arginosuccinase catalyzes the conversion of arginosuccinate to form arginine and fumarate. The urea cycle, in this way, this fumarate links urea cycle to TCA cycle. This arginine is formed by arginosuccinic acid in presence of magnesium ion and arginosuccinase, and this fumarate, then it goes to TCA cycle and produces malate, then oxaloacetate, then from oxaloacetate aspartate is produced. This aspartate again enters the urea cycle. Then the 5th step is arginine is regenerates. Arginine regenerates ornithine and urea is excreted or formed in this way by the hydrolysis of guanidine group of arginine to form urea in presence of arginase enzyme. Now all the 5 reaction together we can revise. The first reaction is CO2 and NH3 which condense to form carbamyl phosphate with utilizing 2 ATP and magnesium ion in presence of carbamyl phosphate synthetase enzyme. This carbamyl phosphate then transfers on ornithine to form citrulline. This citrulline now comes out of the mitochondria. These 2 steps it occurs in mitochondria, and citrulline is then condensed with aspartic acid to form arginosuccinic acid in presence of enzyme arginosuccinic acid synthetase. Here 1 ATP is utilized, and then this arginosuccinic acid in the 4th step liberates fumarate and arginine is synthesized. This fumarate then enters TCA cycle and produces again aspartic acid which is entering here. This arginine then converts into ornithine and urea is liberated. So this ornithine is again regenerated and again used in this cycle. And the ammonia, 1 nitrogen is coming from this ammonia, 1 carbon is coming from this CO2, and the second amino group is coming from aspartic acid. In this way the urea is formed, that is NH2CO NH2. Now the regulation of urea synthesis. Urea synthesis is mainly regulated by the first enzyme, that is carbamyl phosphate synthetase enzyme, and it is rate limiting step. This enzyme is again modified or allosterically regulated by NAG synthase enzyme, NAG. So the NAG is synthesized by the acetyl group, transfer of acetyl group from acetyl coenzyme A and to glutamate. In this way NAG synthase is product is inhibited, and this but it is activated by arginine and glutamate. These high levels of glutamate are seen in protein catabolism, then such as during prolonged starvation. When we are in fasting or in starvation, more and more acetyl coenzyme A is produced, and this acetyl coenzyme A increases the urea formation due to amino produced disposal of ammonia produced in catabolism. Glutamate is the key intermediate and it ensures that ammonia is produced. So you can see the urea cycle is inducible and its activity increases 10 to 20 times during starvation by the protein metabolism. See, in starvation more and more amino acid are catabolized because we don't eat, that's why we don't have carbohydrate diet. So in protein catabolizes this, or by increased catabolism of protein amino acid, more amino acid are synthesized, more ammonia will be produced, and this more ammonia will produce glutamate, more glutamate, and it increases the activity of glutamate dehydrogenase and NAG synthase. This NAG is N-acetyl glutamate, which this enzyme increases the formation of NAG, and this NAG then increases the activity of carbamyl phosphate synthetase. This carbamyl phosphate synthetase in this way stimulates synthesis of urea from ammonia. So first we have to see the urea cycle, how it is inhibited. So urea cycle is regulated by this carbamyl phosphate synthetase enzyme. This is indirectly dependent on NAG synthase, NAG and glutamate or glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme. In this way ammonia, more and more ammonia will be produced and more urea will be produced by increasing the activity of all these things. Then significance there are 2, that is in detoxification of ammonia. Highly toxic ammonia is converted into less toxic urea. Then biosynthesis of arginine. Arginine is a very important amino acid, so it is synthesized during the urea cycle. Then clinical significance, we can see the normal level of urea is 15 to 40 milligram per deciliter in Indians, and in other countries you can say 20 to 40 milligram. And increase of urea blood urea above the normal is called a condition known as uremia. And decreased levels are found only in two conditions, that is severe liver damage, and the second is physiological condition, that is in pregnancy. Then increase of blood urea occurs in many diseases, but primarily kidney is involved in pre-renal, renal and post-renal condition. Now coming to the pre-renal condition. In pre-renal condition, when the plasma volume by body fluids are reduced, then the urea is increased, and when salt and water are depleted, severe protected vomiting in pyloric acid, intestinal obstruction, severe and prolonged diarrhea, pyloric stenosis with severe vomiting, hematemesis, then hemorrhage and shock during the severe burn, ulcerative colitis, and severe chloride loss in crisis with severe chloride loss. In all these conditions, these are pre-renal conditions which increases urea in blood. Then comes to the renal. In renal conditions, where the urea is increased are acute glomerulonephritis, then type 2 nephritis, in which in early stage it is not increased, but at the later stage the condition with renal failure, blood urea rises. Malignant nephrosclerosis, chronic pyelonephritis and mercurial poisoning also increases urea. In disease such as hydronephrosis, renal tuberculosis, small increase are seen but depends on extent of kidney damage. Then in post-renal, when there is obstruction to urine flow, this leads to increase in blood urea and it causes retention of urine and therefore increase in urea. So these are the causes of post-renal are obstruction, maybe stone in urinary tract, enlargement of prostate, stricture of urethra, tumors of the bladder affecting urinary flow. Now lastly we are coming to the associated disorders associated with urea cycle. These all are inborn errors. These are because of the enzyme deficiency. So there are 5 disorders. The first is hyperammonemia type 1, where ammonia is increased and the deficient enzyme is carbamyl phosphate synthetase. Then hyperammonemia type 2, where enzyme deficient is ornithine transcarbamylase and ammonia is increased. In citrullinemia, arginosuccinate synthetase enzyme is deficient and citrulline product increases the accumulated. Then arginosuccinic aciduria, arginosuccinase enzyme is deficient and arginosuccinate is accumulated. Then arginemia, arginase enzyme is deficient and arginine is accumulated. So thank you very much. If you would have liked the video, then please subscribe so that you can get the notification about. And for urea disorder, you can also see my other video in which the detailed urea disorders are given. Thank you very much.